Alright, so a few days ago I released a poll asking you guys which bot you guys want to see me make a build recap on, and Walter White won. So let's get into that. Welcome everyone to the first build overview on this channel. Today we are going to be looking at my most infamous speed build, Walter White. I built Walter White in about 4 or 5 days before the Gears of Harvest event last, I believe, September, and it somehow ended up taking home first place. So building Walter White, I had 3 goals, and those are to make a cheat bot, to make a pretty competitive bot, and to make an entertaining bot. I think it only accomplished 2 of these goals. It ended up not being very fun to watch or to fight, but that's okay. I can always improve on it in the future. The primary constraints for this build were simply just money and me not wanting to spend any on this bot, so I was forced to use only materials and parts and fasteners and electronics that I had on hand. But because I've been doing this for a while, I had a lot of stuff that I could mess with, so I felt pretty confident that I could accomplish my 3 goals while also spending no money on this bot. Walter White ended up going 6-1 at its event, and its only loss of the day was to Franklin. In that fight, a pretty major design error was exposed. When the forks are hit pretty hard, they get stuck in an upright position, and they just don't come down, and when the bot is flipped over, it's stuck. But aside from that one pretty major issue, the bot proved to be pretty good at driving, extremely durable, and a very, very tough robot to fight because its ground game was so effective. Next up, we will be looking at the component choice for Walter White and kind of look at the things that make this such a cheap build. I put together this spreadsheet to kind of show how much it would cost to build a similar bot to Walter White, and you can see that for $207, it's a pretty cheap build, and that's not including the fact that you can easily make 2 or 3 copies with the stuff that I put onto the spreadsheet. Alright, so now I'll show you guys the actual components in Walter White. Right here I've got everything that I would need to wire up and make a working version of Walter White. So we'll start with the battery. This is a 250 milliamp Fingertech Galaxy LiPo battery. For the drive motors, I used 4 N20s. I think they're the 1000 RPM 12 volt versions. For the receiver, we've got a 4-channel FS2A FlySky 4-channel. I ended up using a Fingertech switch for powering the bot on and off, and then I've also got a receiver attached to this little wiring harness. This is just a Amazon special dual ESC. I don't actually even know what they're called, but you can find them on Amazon for I think like $10 a piece. They work decently, a little finicky, but this is what you'd probably see them look like on Amazon. I just take all of the shrink wrap and stuff off just so it's a little easier to access these wires, so I can switch out the motors and stuff a lot easier. But yeah, that's it for components. Okay, so let's get into the actual bot teardown portion of this video. Now, a quick note is for future videos, when I'm doing kind of a similar type of thing like a bot teardown or just kind of showing off stuff that I want to show off where the camera's pointed down at my desk, I do want to figure out some kind of a new recording situation, because sitting here at my computer desk, I cannot get the lighting to look good, I can't get the camera angles good, and it's just kind of a subpar product. Like, it gets the job done, but I'm simply not happy with it. So for the future, maybe I'll get a different camera that I can set up at a separate table. But I don't know. That being said, let's get into the bot teardown. So everything here kind of comes apart pretty nice and easy. I think I'm going to start with the forks. So the forks are mounted by just number 8 screws through the TPU parts. Now, a note is that everything on this bot is press fit. There is nothing really like holding anything together except for just press fits, like it's just friction. I don't think there's a single nut on the bot. Actually, I kind of retract that statement. The only part that has nuts are the actual wheels. Those are held on by I'll show that later actually. But yeah, so we've got those off. Forks come off pretty nice. I'll show a bit more about the fork assembly later because I did get some questions about that. Next up, let's take off the top plate, why don't we? The top plate is held on by four number 4 plastites. Got those off. Now, this is what the internals of the bot look like. So we've got a motor on each wheel. The receiver and the ESC sit just like that. And then the battery would just pop right into here. And we could put the top plate back on. You know, tighten everything a little bit more into there. It'd ideally be a little nicer pressed, but I'm sure you guys get the idea. But as is, it would be ready to fight. I just have to put the forks back on. Let's disassemble a little bit further. Let's do the front plow piece. So once again, these are simply press fit. They're kind of a pain to get out because the holes are pretty undersized, just to ensure that nothing vibrates apart. But it's probably better that they are that way because then nothing can really come out during the fights. So that comes off pretty nice and easy. We can easily put it back together. Everything kind of keys together. You can see these little TPU nubs. There's holes in the chassis that allow those to just easily pop right on. It's really kind of a slick design. I don't know, I'm really happy with how the frame in particular goes together on this bot. Next up, let's get this TPU wraparound off of there. Once again, this is just the same thing. It's just these press fit, like, M3 bolts. They just act as dowels, basically. So the side armor is only held on by 2. The stuff that keeps the back on are these little nubs. And once it's kind of held tight on the sides, like, it's just impossible to rip off. Like, I don't think I could rip it off this way. I can. But once those screws are there, that's impossible. So now we're left with this little itty bitty frame. It looks almost like naked. Next up, we've got these N20 motor mounts. So I've got these little, like, just these little plates, I guess, that hold on the N20s. They're held on by 2 tiny little plastite screws. I believe they're number 2s or number 4s. I can't remember. Oh, this is the wrong size. All right, so we got those 2 little screws off. From there, we can just pull out the motor. It's still wired in, so we can't pull it all the way out. But yeah, that this kind of system with this little plate, I suppose, it's a little annoying to service, honestly. And if I redid this bot, I would likely get something that's a very rigid top plate, like maybe some carbon fiber. And I would just have these press fit into here. I would completely remove these little screws that hold these on altogether. That's one of the few things I think I would improve for the next version. That and the N20 drive power is just simply not there. It needs to be more powerful. But overall, that's Walter White. It's a very simple bot. Everything kind of comes together and goes apart very seamlessly. The wheels on Walter White are TPU hubs with cast urethane. The wheels are held onto the motor shaft by a captive nut with a bolt that kind of tightens down onto the shaft and just retains it that way. They seem pretty sturdy, and overall I like this way of fastening wheels. Walter White's fork assembly is a TPU piece with 2 AR500 forks sandwiched on the outside of the TPU. There's a bolt that goes between the 2 that holds it all together, and then there is a little fin that comes off the TPU piece to keep them from moving up and down. The last thing I would like to cover on Walter White is the multiple configurations for different opponents. Of course, I have the long forks, but I also have the shorter, beefy AR500 forks, and I have the 100% infill wedge for fighting horizontals. The wedge in particular did not see much testing, so I don't know how it would hold up over a competition, but in the one fight that it had, it showed some pretty good promise, and I think that 100% infill wedges could be viable at the Antweight class. So while Walter White is definitely my most successful speed build, I was not terribly happy with how it fought. It was a very slow and kind of boring bot to watch. Whenever I make a speed build or really any bot, I try and make something that is entertaining as both an audience member and a competitor. So if I make another version of this bot in the future, it will definitely be getting some upgrades. I believe I covered everything I wanted to in this video, but if you have any further questions, please do ask in the comments and I will respond as soon as I can. If you would like to see another picture of a particular part of this bot, please ask and I will post a picture on my community tab. Anyways, that should do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the first build recap. There should be more to come. I'm currently working on something V5, so expect that video to come up soon. Anyways, have a good one guys, and I hope you enjoyed the video.